Hey guys, I am back with my reading wrap up for the month of September. I wanted to talk about the 4 books that I completed in the month of September. And guys, all of these were really winners. I loved all 4 of these. I really enjoyed them. Even one of these is a solid 5-star book that now I want to read the whole series. So we had some really good reads this month. I do feel like my reading had slowed down. It was like starting off really strong at the beginning of September, and then it kind of started to slow down, and I'm kind of reading a little slow right now because a lot of my reading time comes in the evenings when my boys go to sleep and the baseball playoffs have started, and I am the biggest baseball fan, guys. So I have been watching baseball in the evenings because, as you guys know, baseball season is coming to a close and it is the saddest time of the year for me. So I have just really been invested in the baseball. I love the Yankees and they're a part of the playoffs this year, and I am excited to say the least. But so my reading has been a little bit slow, but I had 5 books that I wanted to read this month, and I read 4 of the 5. So I was very happy about that. But I wanted to jump in and tell you guys just a super brief. I'm not going to do any spoilers. Most of these, other than the last 2, actually. So the first 2 I have actually done separate complete videos on. So if you've read the first 2, go check out those videos. But we're just going to do a little brief what I thought about it, what I rated it, would I recommend it. So let's jump in. Okay, so the first book that I read in the month of September was the book When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is my second Sarah Adams book. I did read the cheat sheet. I think the month, maybe in August. I can't remember. I think it was in August. Now, I did like the cheat sheet more than When in Rome. When I first made the video reviewing this book, I think I rated this a 4-star. Now, after reading my other books in September, this was my least favorite out of the 4. I think that reason would be it was a very slow burner. I would probably now rate this book about a 3.5 star or 3.75 or something, not quite a 4-star read. So this book was about Amelia Rose. Amelia Rose. Her stage name was Ray Rose. She is like a pop singer and she is a big deal. She is like the biggest singer currently, very famous. And her car breaks down in this little town of Rome, Kentucky. And I don't want to spoil too much for you guys, but she meets this guy, Noah, who owns his grandmother's pie shop. And he actually, I think, even lives in the grandmother's little house, if I remember correctly. This is definitely, if you guys just want a really sweet love story, it did kind of give some like end of summer, fall vibes because it's a very cozy read. This is definitely kind of a Hallmark story vibe. It does kind of have it's a slow burner. It kind of has like this slow love story. It's like this forbidden love because she's famous. He is not famous and doesn't really want anything to do with that lifestyle. This is a very cute book. It's kind of like a close proximity book where they're having to stay. She has to stay in his house. So it's a very cute story. It's a very sweet story. I like Sarah Adams's books. I would definitely recommend this. I would just say it would be a great like fall winter book from the coziness of it. And there's not like a lot of suspense. It doesn't move very quick, but it is a really sweet story. So I loved this. I love when you read a book and the characters are not toxic. Like I felt like these characters were really healthy people. The book was really well written. I liked a lot of the characters. It kind of almost gave you like a Stars Hollow, if you're into Gilmore Girls, kind of vibe because the town had these little quirky characters and everybody knew everybody. That's really what won me over about this book was like the Hallmark-esque, like Stars Hollow kind of town and the characters. So I would definitely recommend this book. I would say it's about like a 3.5 star read. So I definitely want to read more of her books. So I really liked this one. Okay, guys, the next book that I read, this was very, very different from this. This book grabs you from the beginning. So this is the book Mile High by Liz Tomford. This is my first book of hers. I've never read anything else by her. Guys, I am hooked on the Windy City series now. I believe that she has I think there's three other ones currently, and she's doing the fifth one now. She just released one of the characters in this book is getting their own book to wrap up the Windy City series. I loved this book, guys. This is my 5-star of the month. This was my favorite book I read in September. So, guys, this is about Evan Zanders, who is a professional hockey player, and Stevie, who is the flight attendant. She's the new flight attendant on their team plane. They end up I don't want to like spoil too much. So I'm trying to say like end up being into each other. Stevie battles a lot of inner battles with body image issues, which so many of us women deal with. She is a curvy girl, and Evan Zanders is way in the spotlight. He is a professional hockey player, and he's known for having this like tough guy, like kind of play, like he's like a player mentality. He goes on lots of dates. He always has different women that are leaving the games with him and all this stuff. So they are just very different. This book, but it's very nice because Stevie's brother Ryan is also a professional basketball player in the same city. So she kind of understands Xander's lifestyle, but she's not really wanting a part of that lifestyle. This book, watching Stevie and Xander's love story in this book and the way that Xander's builds Stevie up, this book is amazing. It talks about a lot of mental health stuff. It talks about working through trauma in your family and yourself, building confidence in yourself. Guys, this book, I know the author had said that she really thought Stevie, a lot of women would see themselves in the character Stevie. And I just felt like I connected with her character so much. And by the end of the book, Stevie she had changed her whole outlook on herself and was just so much more confident in herself, thanks to Evan too, who had helped to build that. This book was a 5-star, guys. I could not put this book down. I think I read like 200 pages in one day. It was so good. Please read this book. 5-star. If you want to see it, I know I'm forgetting things because I read this kind of like the first or second week of September. So there's so much. This is a big book, guys. This is a thick book. So, and it also is a dual point of vision book, which I love. It changes between Xander's and Stevie. I love books that are dual point of vision. And it's just kind of that like forbidden love because he is this NHL like star and she is a flight attendant. It also, they can't be together because of Stevie's job. So, because she works for the team. Please read this book. I know I'm leaving out so much, but I don't want to spoil it for you. But please, if you have read this book, I would love for you to go to my full review of it. It does have spoilers because we fully jump in, but I would love to talk to you about this book. I loved this. The next one is Right Move, and it's about Stevie's friend and her brother, and I am going to be getting that. I wanted to get it to read this month, but I haven't got it yet, so I may get it to read in November. I can't wait. This is 5-star, guys. Please read this book. All right, guys, the third book that I read, I've talked about this a lot of times. I am trying to read all of Colleen Hoover's books. This was my 13th book of hers. I am really like checking off the list. I'm getting down to the end. This was book 13 of hers that I've read. Again, guys, none of her books disappoint me. Even if it's not your total favorite book, I have never been disappointed by one of her books. Confess is this, man, this story is this is about Auburn and Owen. First of all, loved both of the characters. I don't know how to describe this to you guys without giving some of it away. Auburn is new in Texas. I think, does it say, I can't remember what part, Dallas. She's new in Dallas. She is there for a reason that I don't want to tell you guys because I don't want to spoil it. And she meets Owen, who owns an art studio. And Owen's whole thing is he does these confessions. Sorry, guys, my son was knocking on the door. So Owen's whole thing with his art studio, he has people write confessions on little pieces of paper that are anonymous, and he paints paintings out of some of the people's confessions. And he opens up his art studio once a month, and people will come in. Some people he thinks even buy their own confessions that he's painted, or just different people buy these confessions, and his art studio is very popular. So they meet each other. Auburn really needs the money, again, for things I don't want to tell you because I don't want to spoil it. This book, I have to tell, there is so many things in this book that I did not see. There's so many things that connected in ways that I did not see. Owen really helps Auburn get to where she needs to be. They both help each other work through past trauma that they're going through. Again, these two characters are really healthy people. I loved that about this book. I love them as a couple. There's just so much. I've never read anything like this book. I saw a lot of people say that this was kind of an underrated book of hers. I felt like it was. I honestly would put this kind of towards the top of my favorite books from her. I really liked this a lot. I would definitely say read this. Now, I would probably give this a 4-star. There is so much. I would say the ending kind of wraps up for all of the things that are going on in this book. The ending kind of wraps it up quick and maybe a little bit unrealistic. It's a very quick wrap up. It does have a happy ending, which I love. But I would definitely read this because every time you turn around, there's like another puzzle piece connecting the story. Because at first you don't really know why Auburn is in Dallas. You don't really know, the trauma that Owen has gone through that he kind of hints on, and you start to unfold their story as it goes, and their story actually intertwines with each other that you're not even understanding, because Owen recognizes Auburn when he first sees her walking down the street past his art studio, but you have no idea how he recognizes her or how they know each other. So I also have to tell you, in the very first chapter of this, the very first chapter takes place, it's a prologue, and it takes place, let me see if it says how many years before the story gets started. I don't know if it says. The prologue takes place obviously before, but I can't remember how many years. I was crying in the prologue of the story. It is a very moving story. I was not expecting all the different routes that the story went and how many puzzle pieces were connecting. Then at one part, you finally understand things about the future, what's going to happen. It's all over the place. Please read this book though. It's so good. It ties up all the loose ends at the end. I loved this. So she didn't disappoint. I really liked her book, Confess. I hope that when I make these that they make sense, because sometimes I feel like my descriptions, when I'm not wanting to give away, I don't want to tell too much to you guys to spoil the books. So sometimes I feel like it's all over the place, but just trust me, read that one. It's really good. So the last book that I read in the month of September was Colleen Hoover's book, Hopeless. Now, this is a 5-book series. I think I have one more series of hers to read, the Slammed series, but I was very excited to start the Hopeless series. So I am 1 book in. I got this book used because I was so sad that somebody bent the cover back. I was like, oh, that's criminal. But guys, oh my gosh, I loved this book. So this story, it is not dual point of vision, and I wish it was, but I think the next book in the series talks it through the male character's side. So this book is about Sky and Holder. Sky is choosing to go to public school for the first time, her senior year of high school, and Holder is coming back to school, you think, from some situations that have happened. Now, when you're first reading this book, it is a very simple, you're oh, this is just a high school love story. This is going to be very light, very fun. This book is deep, guys, deep. I would give this book probably a 5-star for me. I loved this book. I would say that's a 5-star just for the topics that Colleen decided to touch on. There is some really heavy topics in this book. Before you ever pick this book up to buy or to read, please read the trigger warnings, because this book is not for everyone. This would be very triggering for people in many different ways. So definitely check out the trigger warnings before you would ever pick this up to read. But when it starts off very simple with Sky and Holder, and you're thinking it's just going to be this love, like this just easy love story in high school. I know Colleen Hoover said it'll make you think of like your first love. It definitely takes you back to that like high school first love kind of thing, but the places that this story goes and the pieces of the puzzle that start to come together, Holder and Sky are more connected than you realize when they first meet in the book. And their stories actually just overline with each other, kind of the same with Confess. That is one thing I will say with Colleen Hoover's books. You're not picking up just a love story like this. These books are not just love stories. Like, yes, that is an aspect of it, but there is so many things that these books go through. Like, it's this whole story. I mean, it is like, it takes you on a whole trip. Like, this is not just a love story. This is a book of healing, of trauma, of just everything, finding who you are. Like, this is not just a love story that you would pick off the shelf. Like, this has so much in it. I think that even as triggering as this book could be, there's a lot of healing in this. You get to watch Sky find herself, find out who she is, and really start to try to heal from her trauma that she is really suppressed. And the same with Holder, like he starts to work through his things. There's puzzle pieces that get put together in the story that really help Holder to move on and forgive things in his past. So this book, I love it. I really can't talk too much about it because I don't want to give any of it away, because if I tell you really anything from this book, I feel like I will give some of it away. This book, literally like chapter after chapter, there was surprises, just things that changed. Like at the end, you start putting all the pieces together and it just kind of blows your mind that the story connected so much. It just builds it. It'll jump back and forth from like 13 years before. Sometimes Sky has these flashbacks. This book, when you get done with it, you're starting to put the pieces together as the book's wrapping up. And it leaves you amazed that like Colleen was able to write a story like this, where it just connects and there's so many details throughout the story that are important. And it's so much more than a love story. And I feel like the cover really doesn't do the book justice. You might not think it's that interesting. This was a great book. Honestly, I would probably give this a 5-star too. All right, guys. So to wrap that up, again, these are the 4 books I read this month. I definitely would recommend this one if you're wanting a light read that's very Hallmark-esque, very calm. Definitely this one. This book, if you're wanting something with some spice and just a really great story. There's so many lessons in this book. Loved this. Loved the character building in this book. And then these two, Colleen Hoover to me just doesn't disappoint. This was my 13th and 14th book of hers. And every single one I like. Every single one I like. So guys, definitely check. I would recommend all 4 of these. So let me know what you're reading. I should be making a video soon of what I plan to read in October. So sorry this video got kind of long. I didn't plan for it to get this long. But thank you guys so much for watching.